The Wildcats are coming off a big win as they're set for a 3-game road trip. It's the Julie Goodenough Show right now. Welcome to another episode of the Julie Goodenough Show from the ACU TV studios on the campus of Abilene Christian University. I'm Owen Simpson alongside Zach Carlisle and the women's head basketball coach, Julie Goodenough. The Wildcats are still fighting for control of the Southland Conference as they sit at 5-1 in conference play, just behind Stephen F. Austin and Sam Houston State. ACU had just one game last week, this past Saturday against Southeastern Louisiana, coming out with a big win, 61-53. Coach, what were your overall thoughts on that big win Saturday?
Gosh, I'm so proud of my team. I thought that they really embraced the game plan that we had put together and executed it very well. We did some different things. You can't continue doing the same thing all the time. And so we changed some things up last week, and our players did a great job of just embracing that change and giving their very best effort.
Well, you had your second bye of the season, meaning you had the Wednesday off. So what was that week like for you in preparation for the game?
Yeah, it really fell at a good time for us. When we looked at the schedule back like in August, we're like, we're going to be, we've got these 2 byes before, the middle of January. But when it fell, it was perfect. We needed it for a variety of reasons. We had just come off our first loss. Our players really needed to, I think, kind of get back to our fundamentals, to get back to, what are we good at, what are our strengths, what are things that we need to capitalize on, and just an opportunity for us to focus on ourselves for a couple of days before we jumped into the next scouting report.
We'll recap that big win Saturday along with a big performance by Alyssa Adams. This is the Julie Goodenough Show. Welcome back to the Julie Goodenough Show. The ACU women's basketball team took down the Lady Lions of Southeastern Louisiana Saturday to improve to 13-2 on the season. However, going into that game, you were pretty short-handed. Maddie Miller injured her hand this week before, and Anna McLeod with a concussion. What was the game plan going into that one, being short-handed?
Yeah, so it kind of threw a wrench into our regular prep, knowing that, 2 of our top 7 players were not going to be available. So we just had to change our style of play, to be quite honest, to accommodate us being shorthanded. And Alyssa Adams was a big part of that. We had been talking as a staff even before this game, how do we get more minutes for her, because she's really been productive. She's the best rebounder on the team. Her stats don't reflect that just because of the minutes played. So we knew that we needed to find ways to get more minutes for her. And so it was an opportunity for her to start for us and, be on the court from the very beginning. And she took full advantage of that. She did what she does well. She's a really good rebounder. She's hard to contain on the drive. She's our best driving post player. She's really long defensively. She takes up a lot of space. She can, get her hands on some deflection. She's a shot blocker. So I felt like she made the very most of her opportunity as a starter. And, the starters, they probably get a little bit longer to kind of prove themselves out on the floor. And, if you give me a reason to keep you out there, you're going to stay out there a lot of minutes. And that's what Alyssa did. And I was just so proud of her. She played with so much confidence. And I thought she really accentuated her positives, the strengths. She didn't try to do anything outside of the norm. She didn't force anything. She was just playing basketball the way she plays. And our team really benefited from that.
Well, when you say you get to prove yourself out there, you have 4 players with 38 or more minutes in the game. What's the confidence level like in the way that they can play almost an entire basketball game out there on the floor?
Yeah, Bree Wright has played tons of minutes in her career here. She's used to playing full games, and she's just a brilliant point guard and the best point guard in the Southland Conference. And we go to her a lot. I'm very confident with her. She and I have been through lots of battles together the last 3.5 years, and I know how she's going to respond. She's tough as nails, so she plays tons of minutes for us. And Dominique has elevated her level of play this year. I think she's playing the very best basketball we've ever seen out of her, just playing with so much confidence. She's playing with a lot of power. She's not just a three-point shooter. I mean, she's scoring in the paint at will. One of our most consistent rebounders, so we need her on the floor as well. And, you know, those two players have just, they have continue to improve throughout their careers here. I have a ton of confidence in them. I feel like they're playing with a lot of confidence as well, and they really believe in our system, and they know what my expectations are for them out on the court. And so they're out there a lot. And you know, Dom, I think this year has really figured out, hey, I can play through this. And my goodness, these ESPN timeouts are like 2.5 minutes long. You know, we have lots of breaks during the game where you can like catch your breath. And but they're doing a great job. Just sustaining, playing at a high level, even with a lot of minutes.
And with the shorthanded team you have right now, going into this big road trip, with Alyssa Adams' big performance, career high in points last Saturday, do you expect to use her more as the team heals?
Absolutely. I think she earned you know, a lot of minutes coming up in this next game, and I think she's very difficult to defend when she's really looking for her shot and looking for driving opportunities. So absolutely, you know, and like I said, we were trying to figure out how to get more minutes for her, and she was phenomenal in the extra playing time that she got this last weekend. So, you know, I would expect for her to play a ton of minutes on Wednesday, and I think she'll be very successful against Sam Houston.
Looking back at the game, it was a 12-12 tie at the end of the first quarter. You go outscore them by 8 in the second quarter, put up 21 points. Talk about that mindset change. What do you feel like was different about the second quarter as opposed to what you saw right away?
Yeah, first of all, having 3 post players on the floor. We worked on it for a couple of days, but it was still unusual and a little bit awkward for our team, and so we weren't quite in sync offensively. And to be quite honest, there are just certain things that we can't run with that lineup. And so I was proud of our defensive effort, though. To hold the team to 12 points was really good for us, and one of our goals going into the game, so proud of that. And then I felt like in the second quarter we settled down a little bit and understood, you know, what shots were going to be available for us. Did a better job executing to get the shots that we wanted.
And someone you had a hard time stopping throughout the game was Alexis Horn, also went off for a career high in points. What adjustments did you make in the game to try to throw her off?
Yeah, we had a hard time containing her. Super quick, very powerful off the bounce. You know, she didn't need very much space to get shots up. It's the best I've seen a freshman play all year. I mean, they have to be really proud of the way she came in, just put the team on her back. And you know, we really didn't have an answer for her. I mean, she was phenomenal. We you know, we tried to switch up harder on screens, and you know, I think just her quickness was hard for us to manage with the bigger lineup that we had on the floor. But she definitely had a career game. It was awesome for her. You know, just congratulations to her for having a great performance like that. And her team needed her to, and she stepped up when they needed her to. They had their original starting point guard was back at home, and so you know, she really took advantage, I think, of knowing that her team needed her, and she was getting extra minutes, and she had a great game.
In the second half of that game, you hold the 8-point lead going into the fourth quarter. Then they make that one final run at you to get it to 3. And then Bree Wright goes and scores 5 straight points. Talk about that big turning point in the game when your team's able to finish it off in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, we subbed Pam in that gave us our 3-guard, 2-post lineup. We slid Bree over to the off guard. She was able to get fouled on a drive, hit her free throws. Then we ran an out-of-bounds play for Bree to take a 3, and Pam did a great job of executing that and just you know, reversing the ball quickly to get to Bree where she had the wide-open 3. And you know, huge momentum swing for us, for Bree to be able to knock those shots down.
This week, we got to sit down with Anna McLeod and learn all about her transition to ACU. You come from quite an athletic family. Did they always expect you to play college basketball?
Honestly, I grew up and I played basketball. I swam a lot, and when I was going into high school, my goal was to swim in college. So it wasn't until after my freshman year in high school that I was like, wow, I actually really like basketball and I want to do this. So that was just a difference for me, I feel like, compared to other people who have different aspirations.
After you transferred to ACU from Louisiana Tech, what kind of transitions did you have to go through?
The West Texas is a lot different than I lived in Louisiana, but I grew up in Houston. So just the transition from a small Texas town compared to a big Texas city, and just getting to know my teammates and my coaches.
Your grandpa played in the NBA. Growing up, what are some things he taught you about the game?
He taught me about my high release point. So I just remember I was like 7 years old or like 8, 9, 10, and he would take me up to the YMCA and we'd just work on keeping the ball above my head for like rebounds. And then his shot was always a hook shot. So he began teaching me like his little baby hook.
You were granted a redshirt season last year. So how did you grow individually and with your new teammates?
I think it really helped with the chemistry of being able to come in just this year and already have those connections with my teammates.
What are some of your team's goals this season for the postseason?
For the postseason, it's definitely win the conference tournament and win a game.
Welcome back to the Julie Goodenough Show. The Wildcats have left Moody for the last time in January as they're about to embark on a 3-game road trip. Wednesday should be an exciting one as ACU travels to Huntsville to take on first place Sam Houston State. Coach, Sam is 8-0 in conference and they've looked really good thus far in a 9-game win streak. What's something you're focusing on against this team?
They do a lot of scoring from the perimeter. They're very guard oriented. Have good guards that will start, and then they'll bring in guards off the bench. We just have to be aware of personnel, that and not unlike any other scouting report, but you have to know what players' strengths are. You got to know who the best shooters are, who the drivers are, who the pull-up jumpers will come from, and so our players need to have a really good grasp of personnel and understand where the majority of the points come from. Sam's doing a great job offensive rebounding as well, so rebounding for us will be another point of emphasis for sure as we prepare to play them. And when you're playing somebody at home, and Sam hasn't lost a game at home, shooting the ball really well, really probably feeding off the energy of their home crowd, then we've got to, go with a kind of a raised level of intensity and understand like you can't give them uncontested shots, you can't give them extra opportunities to score off offensive rebounds. So our defensive intensity needs to be really good on Wednesday night.
Amber Leggett is one of the star players for Sam Houston State. She joins a lot of players that are back from a team that finished in the 5 spot last year, lost in the first round of the conference tournament. It's a good program, though, at Sam Houston State altogether. So what do you know about this team? They're in their second-year head coach, a coach who won Coach of the Year honors last year.
Yeah, Raven's doing a great job with them. They make a lot of adjustments throughout the course of games. She has a really talented team, and her style of play is really good. It fits the players that she has. It's an interesting matchup. The top 4 scorers in the conference are competing in this game with Dom and Bree and Jalen Walker and Amber Leggett. So it's interesting. 4 guards lead the conference in scoring right now. So, look for those 4 players to be matched up against each other a lot and, see who can persevere through some adversity. I think our team will be ready to play on Wednesday. It's going to be a tough challenge, anytime you leave home and travel. And Sam's obviously playing really, really good right now in conference play and at home as well. So, we've got to be really sharp and just make sure that we are playing our style. I think that Sam Houston's done a great job of playing their pace and their style of basketball, and they're forcing opponents to try to keep up with them. And, I think our players need to be just very disciplined, and we want to do, what we work on every day in practice. We don't want to get outside of our style of play for sure.
And Sam really likes to go deep into their bench throughout the game. Not a single player averages over 28 minutes a game. Meanwhile, for you like to keep your starting 5 out there as much as you can, with really 3 players now averaging 30 minutes or more a game. Going into this game, does that change things also being shorthanded for you?
Well, you can really utilize like the breaks between quarters, the media timeouts. Both teams have 4 timeouts. There's a lot of ways that you can give your players a break without substituting. And you know, I have a lot of faith and trust in our starters. And you know, for example, I didn't even mention Michaela earlier with our last game, but you know, she didn't have big numbers on the stat sheet, but she was communicating and like just directing traffic all night long, especially on the defensive end. We were doing some different things defensively, and you know, she played a ton of minutes for us in our last game and just continued to communicate. She was guarding out on the perimeter better than she's ever guarded on the perimeter and just doing some really good things for us. She's a great passer as well. And, you know, you just have to utilize the timeouts, the breaks in the quarters. You know, I need to make sure that I'm aware, you know, and call timeouts when they need breaks. But there's a lot of ways that you can manage the big minute players.
Well, this is the first of 3 straight games on the road. You go to Sam Wednesday, and then you go to Central Arkansas Saturday. The following Wednesday, you're going to SFA. Talk about just what you're hoping to learn from your team over these next 3 games away from home.
Yeah, my expectation is that we'll be grown-ups and we'll demonstrate that we are a veteran team, and that, you know, we've played in all these places before, and you know, we know what it's like to go into environments where teams play really, really well at home. And this is a tough 3-game stretch for us. What's crazy, though, is in less than 2 weeks, we'll be back at home. And, you know, this time's going to go by really fast. And so we get to choose how we're going to use this time. You know, how are we going to use our travel? How are we going to continue to prepare on the road? How we're going to sleep, what we're going to eat, you know, how we're just going to make sure that our minds and bodies are ready for each one of these challenges. And we were real adamant about taking everything one day at a time. We've already worked out today. It was awesome. Our players are excited about participating in the Martin Luther King March in a little bit this afternoon. And we had a great workout today, and we'll have a great workout tomorrow before we leave town. But I think you just have to, you know, just focus on the task at hand. We're going to really concentrate on one day at a time to prepare us for all the challenges. But it's a tough stretch in our schedule for sure. 3 games on the road against 3 really good opponents. So it'll be tough. I mean, we've got to make sure that our players are taking care of themselves, and that you know, we're doing everything we can under our control to be as prepared as possible for these games.
The Wildcats get back to action Wednesday against Sam Houston State, who is riding a 9-game win streak. The tip Wednesday is set for 5 p.m. on ESPN+. ACU later heads to Conway, Arkansas Saturday to face Central Arkansas at 1 p.m. For Coach Goodenough and the ACU TV crew and Zach Carlisle, I'm Owen Simpson. Thanks for watching the Julie Goodenough Show. We'll see you here next week.